The night I found her, I wasn't looking to be anyone's hero. I was running from my own demons, the kind that wear expensive suits and carry divorce papers. The kind that whisper in your dead wife's voice at 3 a.m. But when I saw that little girl standing alone in the blizzard, clutching a stuffed bunny so tightly her knuckles had turned blue, everything changed. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old. And the words that came out of her trembling lips would send me on the most terrifying, heartbreaking, and ultimately life-changing journey I'd ever known. Sir, my mommy disappeared after her blind date. And I don't know how to find her. That was the moment my carefully constructed world of board meetings and billion-dollar deals crumbled into something far more important. That was the moment I realized that all my money, all my power, all my influence meant absolutely nothing if I couldn't save one woman I'd never even met. December 23rd. 2 days before Christmas, and I was doing what I always did during the holidays, working. My name is Alexander Chen. I'm the CEO of Meridian Industries, a tech conglomerate worth roughly $47 billion. Forbes calls me the silent giant. Wall Street calls me the Ice King. My 6-year-old son, Ethan, just calls me Dad. And right now, my dad duties had brought me to the most unlikely place, a 24-hour pharmacy on the outskirts of the city, in the middle of the worst snowstorm our state had seen in 30 years. Ethan had a fever. 102.3 degrees. My private physician was snowed in. The roads to the hospital were closed. And my son was asking for the specific grape-flavored medicine his mother used to give him, the one she always kept in the cabinet before she died 2 years ago. So there I was. Alexander Chen. The man who could buy this entire city block with his pocket change, trudging through knee-deep snow to a dingy little pharmacy because my boy needed medicine. Because some things, money can't do for you. I pulled my coat tighter as I stepped out of the pharmacy, the small paper bag clutched against my chest to protect it from the howling wind. My Range Rover was parked 50 feet away, but in this blizzard, it might as well have been 50 miles. That's when I saw her. A flash of pink in my peripheral vision. I turned, squinting through the sheets of white, and my heart stopped. A little girl. Alone. Standing at the bus stop like she was waiting for a ride that would never come. She was wearing a thin pink coat, the kind that might be fine for a California winter, but was absolutely useless in this frozen hell. No hat. No gloves. Snow had accumulated on her small shoulders like she'd been standing there for a very long time. And she was crying. Not the loud, dramatic crying of a child throwing a tantrum. This was the silent, defeated crying of a child who had run out of hope. Something inside me cracked. I should have kept walking. I had a sick son at home. A blizzard to navigate. A mountain of problems that had nothing to do with this stranger's child. But I couldn't. Maybe it was because I was a father. Maybe it was because I knew what it felt like to be alone and terrified. Or maybe it was because that little girl reminded me so much of my own son, small, vulnerable, desperately needing someone to save them. I approached slowly, not wanting to frighten her. "Hey there," I said softly, crouching down to her level. "Are you okay?" She looked up at me, and I saw her face clearly for the first time. Big brown eyes, swollen from crying. Cheeks raw from the cold. A button nose that had turned an alarming shade of red. And in her arms, clutched like a lifeline, was a worn stuffed bunny with one missing eye. "My mommy told me not to talk to strangers," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. Smart mother, I thought. But also, where was this smart mother? Why was her child standing alone in a blizzard? "That's very good advice," I said gently. "Your mommy sounds very smart. Is she nearby? Can I help you find her?" The little girl's lower lip trembled. And then she said the words that would haunt me for weeks. "My mommy disappeared." I felt the cold seep deeper into my bones, but it had nothing to do with the weather. "What do you mean, she disappeared?" I asked, fighting to keep my voice calm. "When did you last see her?" The little girl sniffled, wiping her nose with the back of her frozen hand. This morning. She said she was going on a blind date. She said she'd be back before my bedtime. But she never came home. A blind date. In this weather. My mind raced with horrible possibilities. Car accident. Foul play. A stranger from the internet who wasn't who he claimed to be. What's your name, sweetheart? I asked. Emma, she said. Emma Sullivan. Okay, Emma. My name is Alexander. I'm going to help you, okay? But first, I need you to answer some questions. Can you do that for me? She nodded slowly, her small body shivering violently. I couldn't let her stay out here another second. First, let's get you somewhere warm, I said, reaching for my phone. No signal. The storm must have knocked out the towers. My car is right over there. I have the heater running. We can talk there, and then we'll figure out how to find your mommy. Is that okay? Emma hesitated. I could see the war in her eyes, stranger danger versus the desperate need for warmth and help. I have a little boy, I added softly. His name is Ethan. He's 6 years old. He's home right now with a fever, and I'm trying to get back to him with medicine. I promise you, Emma, I'm not a bad person. I just want to help. Something in her expression shifted. Maybe it was the mention of Ethan. Maybe it was the genuine worry she could hear in my voice. Okay, she whispered. I scooped her up without another word. She weighed almost nothing, like a bird with hollow bones, and carried her through the snow to my car. The moment I got her inside and cranked the heat to maximum, she started crying again. But this time, they were tears of relief. Can you tell me more about what happened? I asked, pulling off my own coat and wrapping it around her small shoulders. Start from the beginning. Emma clutched her bunny tighter and began to speak. Her story came out in fragments, the way children tell stories, jumping from detail to detail without always connecting them logically. But I listened carefully, piecing together the narrative like a puzzle. Emma Sullivan was 5 years old. She lived with her mother, Lily Sullivan, in a small apartment on the east side of the city. Her father had never been in the picture. Mommy says he made bad choices, Emma explained with heartbreaking simplicity. Lily was a nurse at the county hospital. She worked long hours, often picking up double shifts to make ends meet. But she always made time for Emma. Bedtime stories. Pancakes on Sunday. Movie nights with popcorn and blanket forts. Mommy is the best mommy in the whole world, Emma said firmly, as if daring me to argue. 2 weeks ago, Lily's friend from work had convinced her to try online dating. You need to get out there, the friend had said. Emma deserves to see her mom happy. Lily had been hesitant. She'd been hurt before. Emma's father had left when she was just a baby, and trust didn't come easily after that. But eventually, she agreed to try. She matched with a man who called himself David. He looked nice in his pictures, Emma said. Mommy showed me. He had a smile like a toothpaste commercial. David had been charming in his messages. Polite. Interested. He asked about Lily's job, her hobbies, her daughter. He seemed almost too good to be true. Red flag number 1. They had arranged to meet for coffee yesterday afternoon at a cafe downtown. Lily had hired a babysitter, a teenager from their building named Jessica, to watch Emma while she was gone. Mommy said she'd be back by 5 o'clock, Emma said. She promised. She never breaks promises. But 5 o'clock came and went. Then 6. Then 7. Jessica had tried calling Lily's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. By 8 o'clock, Jessica was panicking. Her parents were demanding she come home because of the incoming storm. She made a choice, a terrible, selfish, unforgivable choice. She left. Jessica said Mommy would be home soon, Emma whispered, her voice breaking. She said I should just wait. She said she'd get in trouble if she stayed too late. A 17-year-old girl had left a 5-year-old child alone in an apartment because she didn't want to get in trouble with her parents. The rage that surged through me was volcanic. But I swallowed it down. That wasn't what Emma needed right now. "What happened then, sweetheart?" I asked gently. Emma had waited. Alone in the dark apartment, clutching her bunny, watching the door and praying it would open. It never did. By morning, she was terrified. Her mother had never, not once in Emma's entire life, stayed away overnight without telling her. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. Emma didn't know how to call 911. She didn't know any of her mother's friends' phone numbers. She only knew one thing: her mother had said the cafe was near the pharmacy with the big red sign. So Emma had bundled up in her pink coat, the only coat she owned, and walked out into the blizzard to find her? "I've been looking all day," Emma said, her voice small and exhausted. "But I can't find the cafe. And I can't find Mommy. And I don't know what to do." She looked up at me with those enormous brown eyes, and I saw something I recognized all too well. The moment when a child realizes the world is not safe. That the people who are supposed to protect them can fail. That sometimes the monsters are real, and no one is coming to save you. I had seen that look in my own son's eyes when we told him his mother wasn't coming home from the hospital. I made a decision. "Emma," I said firmly, "I'm going to find your mother." The words were out of my mouth before I could think them through. "I'm going to find your mother." What was I doing? I had a sick child at home. No phone signal. No police support in this weather. And I was promising a 5-year-old girl that I'd locate a woman who could be anywhere in a city of 3 million people during the worst blizzard in 3 decades. But looking at Emma's face, the way hope flickered back into her eyes like a candle refusing to die, I knew I couldn't take it back. I wouldn't take it back. "Really?" she breathed. "You promise?" I hesitated. I had learned long ago never to make promises I couldn't keep. In business, broken promises meant lost deals. In life, broken promises meant broken trust. But sometimes, a child needed to believe in something. "I promise I will do everything in my power to bring your mommy home," I said carefully. "But I need your help, Emma. I need you to tell me everything you remember. Every detail, no matter how small. Can you do that?" She nodded vigorously, clutching her bunny like a talisman. "The cafe," I began. "You said it was near the pharmacy with the big red sign. Is that this pharmacy?" I pointed to the building I'd just left. Emma looked through the snow-covered window and squinted. "I think so. Mommy brings me here sometimes to get vitamins." That was a start. There were only 2 cafes within walking distance of this pharmacy. I knew because I'd been coming to this neighborhood for years. It's where Meridian's original warehouse was located, back before we became a tech empire. Back when I was just a hungry kid with a dream and a second-hand laptop. Was the cafe on a busy street or a quiet street? I asked. "Quiet," Emma said after thinking. Mommy said she liked it because it was peaceful. That eliminated the one on Main Street. The other one, the Rustic Bean, was on a side road, tucked between a bookstore and a laundromat. "Do you remember what color the cafe was? Any decorations?" "It had a green door," Emma exclaimed suddenly, her face lighting up. "Mommy said it looked like a door from a fairy tale." "The Rustic Bean." "It had to be." "Okay, Emma. Here's what we're going to do." I pulled out my phone again, still no signal, but I had downloaded offline maps for exactly these kinds of situations. "We're going to go to that cafe and see if anyone remembers your mommy. Maybe they know where she went. And then we'll find her. And then we'll find her." But first, I had a problem. Ethan. My son was home alone with Margaret, our housekeeper, and he was sick. I couldn't drag Emma across the city in a blizzard without making sure my own child was safe first. "Emma, I need to make a quick stop at my house first," I said. "My little boy is sick, and I need to give him his medicine and make sure he's okay." Is that all right? I promise it will only take a few minutes, and then we'll go find your mommy. Emma's face fell slightly, the delay clearly agonizing for her, but she nodded. Okay. Family is important. Mommy always says that. Your mommy sounds like a remarkable woman, I thought. I just hoped I could find her in time. The drive to my estate took 45 minutes instead of the usual 15. The roads were nearly impassable, and even my Range Rover struggled against the mounting snow. But we made it, pulling through the gates just as the wind reached a howling crescendo. Emma's eyes went wide as the house came into view. I supposed I'd grown immune to it over the years, but seeing it through a child's perspective reminded me of just how imposing it was. A sprawling Victorian mansion with over 30 rooms, surrounded by acres of snow-covered gardens. My late wife, Mylin, had fallen in love with it the moment she saw it. She said it looked like something from a storybook. This is where our children will play, she'd said, spinning around the grand foyer with her arms outstretched. This is where we'll grow old together. She never got to grow old. Is this a castle? Emma breathed. Something like that, I murmured, parking the car and cutting the engine. Come on. Let's get inside. Margaret met us at the door, her weathered face a mask of relief and confusion. She'd been with our family for over 20 years, she'd practically raised me after my own mother passed, and she knew when something was wrong. Mr. Chen. Thank goodness you're safe. And who's this little one? This is Emma, I said, ushering her inside. She's going to stay with us for a little while. Her mother is missing, and I'm going to find her. Margaret's expression cycled through surprise, concern, and finally, resignation. She knew me well enough to understand that once I'd made up my mind about something, there was no changing it. Ethan's fever broke about an hour ago, she reported. He's been asking for you. And she lowered her voice, for his mother. The anniversary of Mylin's death was in 3 days. The holidays were always hard. I'll go see him, I said. Margaret, please get Emma something warm to eat and drink. And see if any of Ethan's old clothes might fit her. She needs proper winter gear. I turned to Emma, who was staring around the foyer with undisguised wonder. I'll be right back, okay? You're safe here. I promise. She nodded, but I could see the anxiety lurking behind her eyes. She was afraid I would disappear too. I climbed the grand staircase 2 steps at a time, my heart heavy with the weight of everything I'd just learned. A mother missing. A child abandoned. A blizzard that showed no signs of stopping. And somewhere out there, a woman named Lily Sullivan was counting on someone to save her. I pushed open Ethan's door and found him sitting up in bed, his fever-bright eyes fixed on the window. Daddy, he said weakly, reaching for me. You came back. I crossed the room and pulled him into my arms, holding him tight. I'll always come back, I whispered. Always. But even as I said the words, I couldn't help but wonder, was Lily Sullivan making the same promise to Emma right now? Wherever she was she fighting to come home? I had to believe she was. And I had to find her before it was too late. After putting Ethan to bed, I returned downstairs to find Emma curled up on the couch with Margaret, sipping hot chocolate. But she wasn't looking at the fire or the Christmas tree or any of the comforts around her. She was looking at a photo on the mantelpiece. A photo of Mylin. Is that your wife? Emma asked quietly when she noticed me. Yes, I said. She passed away 2 years ago. Emma was silent for a moment. Then, my daddy left when I was a baby. Mommy says it hurts at first, but then you learn to love harder because you know how easy it is to lose people. I stared at this 5-year-old girl, this tiny, brave, impossible child, and felt something crack open in my chest. Your mommy sounds very wise, I managed. She is, Emma said firmly. That's why we have to find her. She still has so much wisdom left to share. I nodded, grabbing my coat. Margaret, I need you to watch both children. I'm going to the rustic bin to see if anyone knows what happened to Lily Sullivan. In this storm. Margaret protested. Alexander, that's suicide. Maybe, I said, pulling on my gloves. But that little girl's mother is out there somewhere. And I'm not going to let her down. I was halfway out the door when Emma's voice stopped me. Mr. Alexander? I turned. She had climbed off the couch and was standing in the middle of the foyer, her stuffed bunny dangling from one hand, looking impossibly small against the grandeur of the mansion. My mommy always says that angels don't have wings. They have helping hands. She smiled, a real smile, the first I'd seen from her. I think you might be an angel. And then she ran forward and hugged my leg with all the strength her small body could muster. I didn't know what to say. So I simply placed my hand on her head and made a silent vow. I will find your mother, Emma Sullivan. No matter what it takes. Before I continue, subscribe to my channel and leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. The rustic bin looked like a ghost town. Through the blizzard, I could barely make out the green door Emma had described. The lights inside flickered weakly, they were running on backup power. I pushed through the entrance, snow cascading off my shoulders. A bell chimed overhead. The cafe was nearly empty. A barista stood behind the counter, looking bored and anxious. An elderly man sat in the corner nursing cold coffee. That was it. We're closing in 10 minutes, the barista called out. Storm's getting worse. I'm not here for coffee. I approached the counter, pulling out my phone. I'm looking for a woman who came here yesterday. Blonde hair, early 30s, probably nervous. She was meeting someone for a date. The barista, her name tag read Hannah, raised an eyebrow. You a cop? No. I'm someone trying to help her daughter. Hannah's expression shifted. Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition? Concern? Yeah, she said slowly. I remember her. Pretty lady. Seemed sweet but jumpy, you know? Like she hadn't done this in a while. My pulse quickened. Was she with a man? Showed up alone. Waited about 20 minutes. Then a guy came in. Hannah frowned. Tall. Dark hair. Nice coat. Smiled a lot. Did they leave together? Hannah hesitated. Please, I pressed. Her 5-year-old daughter is at my house right now. She's been alone since last night. She walked through this blizzard trying to find her mother. The barista's face crumpled. Oh God. That poor baby. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. They left together around 4 p.m. But here's the thing, she didn't look happy. When they first sat down, she was smiling. But toward the end? Something changed. She kept checking her phone. Looked uncomfortable. Did you hear anything they said? No. But I saw her try to leave once. He grabbed her wrist. Hannah's jaw tightened. Not hard, but enough to make her sit back down. I thought about saying something, but then they were both smiling again, so I figured I imagined it. My blood ran cold. Do you have security cameras? Hannah led me to a cramped back office where an ancient computer hummed. The security system was outdated but functional. Yesterday, around 3:30 to 4:30, I said. She pulled up the footage. The video was grainy, black and white. But I could see enough. Lily Sullivan entered the cafe at 3:42 p.m. Even in the poor quality footage, I could tell she was beautiful. Not the flashy, high-maintenance beauty I was used to seeing at corporate galas. Something softer. Warmer. The kind of woman who probably didn't know how beautiful she was. She chose a table near the window. Ordered tea. Checked her phone repeatedly. At 4:01 p.m., a man walked in. David. He was exactly as Emma had described, tall, well-dressed, with a smile that belonged in a toothpaste commercial. But watching him on camera, something felt wrong. His movements were too smooth. Too practiced. like an actor hitting his marks. He greeted Lily with a hug. She stiffened slightly but allowed it. Saturday. They talked. For the first 15 minutes, everything seemed normal. Then I saw it. Lily's body language changed. She leaned back, crossed her arms. Her smile vanished. David leaned forward, said something. Lily shook her head, reached for her purse. David's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. There, Hannah whispered. That's what I saw. On screen, Lily froze. David said something else, his expression still pleasant, still smiling, but there was nothing pleasant about the grip on her arm. Lily sat back down. At 4:27 p.m., they left together. Lily walked slightly ahead. David's hand rested on her lower back, guiding her or trapping her. And then they were gone. Can you zoom in on his face? I asked. Hannah tried. The image was too blurry to be useful. But I noticed something else. Wait. Go back. When he paid. She rewound. David had paid in cash, no credit card to trace. But when he pulled out his wallet, something fell on the counter. He picked it up quickly, but I caught a glimpse. A hotel keycard. Can you enhance that? Hannah squinted. Maybe. Give me a second. She worked the ancient software, adjusting contrast and zoom. Slowly, the logo on the keycard became visible. The Grand View Hotel. I knew that hotel. It was a mid-range establishment about 15 minutes from here. Not luxurious, but not cheap either. The kind of place someone might take a date. Or the kind of place someone might take a victim. I drove back to my mansion faster than was safe, my mind racing with horrible possibilities. Lily Sullivan had left that cafe with a man who made her uncomfortable. A man who had grabbed her wrist to stop her from leaving. A man who had a keycard to a hotel. This wasn't a simple disappearance. This was something much darker. When I burst through my front door, Emma was waiting for me. She jumped up from the couch, her eyes desperate. Did you find Mommy? I knelt down to her level. Not yet, sweetheart. But I found some clues. I'm getting closer. Her face crumpled. But you promised. And I'm keeping that promise. I took her small hands in mine. Emma, I need to ask you something important. Did your mommy ever mention the man she was meeting? Did she say anything about him? Emma thought hard, her little brow furrowed. She said he was a businessman. He told her he worked with computers, like you. Like me. A tech professional. Someone who would know how to hide his digital footprint. Anything else? Emma shook her head. Then stopped. Wait. Mommy said something weird before she left. What was it? Emma clutched her bunny tighter. She hugged me really tight and said, if anything ever happens to me, remember what I told you about the box. I asked what box, but she just smiled and said I'd know when the time was right. A box? Emma, do you know where this box is? I think it's under Mommy's bed. She keeps important stuff there. Papers and pictures and things. Whatever was in that box, Lily had wanted her daughter to find it if something went wrong. That meant she knew, on some level, that this date might be dangerous. Why would she go anyway? Emma, I need to see that box. Can you tell me how to get into your apartment? The spare key is under the mat. Mommy says it's not safe, but we can't afford a better lock. Margaret appeared in the doorway, her face pale. Alexander, the storm is getting worse. They're saying on the radio that it's the worst in 50 years. People are being told to shelter in place. I looked at Emma. At her hopeful, terrified eyes. Then I looked at the window, where snow was piling against the glass like a living thing trying to break in. Shelter in place. That's what any sane person would do. But Lily Sullivan was out there somewhere. And every minute I waited was a minute she might not have. "Watch the children," I told Margaret. "I'm going to Emma's apartment." "Alexander, this is madness." "Maybe." I grabbed my keys. But that little girl's mother trusted a stranger once, and it might have cost her everything. I'm not going to let her down too. Lily Sullivan's apartment was on the 4th floor of a crumbling building in the worst part of the city. The elevator was broken. The hallway smelled like mold and desperation. I found the spare key exactly where Emma said it would be. The apartment was tiny. A combined living room and kitchen, one small bedroom, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. But despite its size, it was immaculate. Cheerful, even. Children's drawings covered the refrigerator. A small Christmas tree sat in the corner, decorated with handmade ornaments. This was a home built on love, not money. I found the box under Lily's bed. It was a simple showbox, worn at the edges. I lifted the lid, my heart pounding. Inside, I found Emma's birth certificate. A stack of old photographs. A letter, sealed and addressed to Emma. And a folder labeled evidence. I opened the folder. My blood turned to ice. Inside were printed screenshots of messages. Dozens of them. All from a dating app. All from a man named David. But there was more. Lily had done research on him. Reverse image searches. Background checks. Notes in her neat handwriting. And at the bottom of the folder, a single page that changed everything. David Morrison, real name, Daniel Mercer. 3 women have reported him for harassment. 2 restraining orders filed. 1 woman missing since 2019. Police have no leads. He changes his name and moves cities. I matched with him before I knew. Now he won't leave me alone. If something happens to me, find him. Lily had known. She had known exactly who she was meeting. And she had gone anyway. Why? I flipped through the messages and found my answer. Daniel's last message to Lily, sent the morning of the date. "If you don't meet me, I'll come to your apartment. I know where you live. I know your daughter's school. Don't make me do something we'll both regret. Just coffee. 1 hour. Then I'll leave you alone forever. I promise." She hadn't gone on a date. She had gone to protect Emma. I stood in that tiny apartment, holding evidence of a predator who had targeted at least 4 women, and my hands were shaking. Lily Sullivan wasn't just a missing woman. She was a mother who had walked into the lion's den to keep her daughter safe. And now I had a name. Daniel Mercer. I pulled out my phone. Still no signal. But I had resources that most people didn't. I had connections. I had money. I had an entire company of tech experts who could trace anyone, anywhere. This man had made a mistake when he targeted Lily Sullivan. Because now he had me hunting him. And I don't stop until I win. The Grandview Hotel loomed through the snow like a gravestone. I parked across the street, watching. Thinking. Planning. Daniel Mercer was dangerous. Calculated. He'd evaded police for years. I couldn't just storm in and demand answers. I needed leverage. Fortunately, leverage was my specialty. I pulled out my phone, finally, 1 bar of signal, and made a call to my head of security. "Marcus. I need everything on Daniel Mercer. Aliases, addresses, criminal history, financial records. Everything. And I need it in 10 minutes. Sir, it's almost midnight." 10 minutes, Marcus. I hung up. While I waited, I approached the hotel. The lobby was empty except for a bored clerk scrolling on his phone. "Excuse me." I placed a $100 bill on the counter. "I'm looking for a guest." "Tall man, dark hair, checked in yesterday. Probably with a blonde woman." The clerk's eyes locked onto the money. "I can't give out guest information." I added another 100. Then another. "Room for 12, he said quickly, pocketing the cash. "But you didn't hear it from me." The elevator ride felt endless. 4th floor. Long hallway. Flickering lights. Room for 12 was at the end. I pressed my ear against the door. Silence. I knocked. Nothing. My phone buzzed. "Marcus. Sir, Daniel Mercer is bad news. 3 harassment charges, 2 restraining orders, 1 missing persons case linked to him, a woman named Sarah Chen. Never found. And here's the thing, he has a pattern. Meets women online, isolates them, and then what? Silence. The women either disappear or they're too scared to press charges. One victim said he kept her in a hotel room for 3 days before she escaped. 3 days. Lily had been gone for almost 30 hours. I need you to track his phone, I said. Already tried. It's off. But I found something else. His credit card was used at a gas station 40 miles north of the city. 2 hours ago. He was running. And he was taking Lily with him. Send me the location. I raced back to my mansion, my mind calculating routes, distances, possibilities. 40 miles north. In this blizzard, that was a treacherous drive. But Daniel had a head start. If I didn't move now? I burst through my front door and found Emma sitting on the stairs, waiting. "Mr. Alexander." Her voice was small. I remembered something. I stopped. "What is it?" "The man. David. He called Mommy once before the date." I answered the phone by accident. She twisted her bunny's ear nervously. "He said something weird." "What did he say, Emma?" "He said, you should see my cabin. It's so peaceful. No one around for miles. Just us and the snow. A cabin. 40 miles north. Isolated. Remote. No witnesses. The perfect place to make someone disappear." "Emma, did he say anything else about the cabin?" "Anything at all." She scrunched her face, thinking hard. "He said it was by a lake. A frozen lake. And that the trees looked like soldiers standing guard." I grabbed my tablet and pulled up satellite maps of the area north of the city. Lakes. Cabins. Isolated properties. There were dozens. But only one matched the gas station's location. Silver Pine Lake. A cluster of rental cabins sat on its eastern shore. Most were closed for winter. But one had power connected. Registered to a shell company. I traced the company's ownership through 3 layers of bureaucracy until I hit a name. David Morrison. Daniel Mercer's favorite alias. Got you. Margaret found me loading supplies into my car. Flashlights. First aid kit. The emergency beacon I kept for mountain climbing. "Alexander, you can't be serious." Her voice trembled. "That's over an hour's drive in this weather. You could die." So could she. "Call the police." "The police can't get through the storm." "No one can." I slammed the trunk shut. "Except me." Margaret grabbed my arm. "Think about Ethan. Think about what happens to him if you don't come back." I paused. She was right. My son had already lost his mother. If he lost me too. But then I thought about Emma. Waiting upstairs. Believing in me. And I thought about Lily. Trapped in a cabin with a monster. Praying someone would come. "If I don't try," I said quietly, "what kind of father am I teaching Ethan to be? The kind who looks away when someone needs help? The kind who values his own comfort over another person's life?" Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "My Lynn would be proud of you," she whispered. I kissed her forehead. "Take care of my son. And take care of Emma. I'll bring her mother home." I climbed into my car. The storm howled outside, angry and hungry. And I drove into its heart. Cliffhanger? 30 minutes into the drive, my headlights caught something on the side of the road. A car. Abandoned. Buried in snow. I pulled over and approached carefully. The license plate matched the rental Daniel Mercer had been driving. Empty. But on the passenger seat, I found something that made my heart stop. A woman's scarf. Pale blue. Stained with blood. And a note, scrawled on a napkin. Silver Pine, Cabin 7, he's going to kill me. Lily was alive. For now. Silver Pine Lake was a frozen wasteland. The cabins appeared through the blizzard like tombstones, dark, silent, abandoned. Except one. Cabin 7. A single light burned in the window. I parked 100 yards away and approached on foot, moving silently through the snow. My heart hammered against my ribs. Through the window, I saw him. Daniel Mercer stood by a fireplace, relaxed, drinking wine like he was on vacation. And tied to a chair in the corner, Lily Sullivan. She was alive. Bruised. Terrified. But alive. I didn't hesitate. I kicked open the door. Daniel spun around, wine glass shattering on the floor. Who are you? I'm the man who's taking her home. I moved toward Lily. Stay back. Daniel pulled a knife from his belt. This is none of your business. You made it my business when you took a mother from her daughter. Lily's eyes widened. Emma, she choked out. Is she? She's safe. At my house. Waiting for you. Tears streamed down her face. Daniel stepped between us, blade raised. You have no idea what you've walked into. She's mine. I've been watching her for months. She led me on. She owes me. She owes you nothing. His face twisted with rage. I'm not going to jail. Not again. He lunged. I'd taken self-defense courses for years. But training in a dojo was different from fighting a desperate man with a knife in a tiny cabin. We crashed into furniture. The blade slashed past my face, missing by inches. Daniel was younger, faster. But I was fighting for something he couldn't understand. I was fighting for Emma. For Lily. For every moment they'd been robbed of. I grabbed his wrist, twisted. The knife clattered away. We went down hard. My fist connected with his jaw once, twice, 3 times. He went limp. I staggered to my feet, breathing hard, and rushed to Lily. I've got you, I said, cutting the ropes with the knife. You're safe now. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. Emma. I need to see Emma. You will. I promise. The escape. I called Marcus. Get the police to Silver Pine Lake. Cabin 7. I have Daniel Mercer in custody. And send a medical team. Then I wrapped Lily in blankets and carried her to my car. The drive back was brutal. The storm had worsened. Visibility was 0. But I didn't stop. Lily drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling Emma's name. Stay with me, I urged. Your daughter needs you. She's been so brave. Just like her mother. Lily's eyes fluttered open. You saved me. Why? Because Emma asked me to. She smiled faintly. She's a good judge of character. She said you taught her that angels don't have wings. They have helping hands. Lily's tears came fresh. I need to hold her. Please? I need to hold my baby. You will. We're almost home. We pulled through the mansion gates at 2:47 a.m. Margaret opened the door, Emma in her arms. The little girl had fallen asleep, but the moment the car stopped, her eyes snapped open like she'd sensed her mother's presence. Mommy, she whispered. Lily stumbled from the car. Emma broke free and ran. They collided in the snow, mother and daughter, clinging to each other like the world was ending and beginning all at once. "I'm here, baby," Lily sobbed. "Mommy's here. I'll never leave you again. Never." I stood back, watching them. And for the first time in 2 years, since Mylin died, I felt something shift inside me. Hope. But then Lily looked up at me, still holding Emma, and said 5 words that changed everything. "There's something I must tell you." We sat in my study, Lily wrapped in blankets, Emma curled in her lap, refusing to let go. Margaret had brought tea. The fire crackled. Outside, the blizzard finally began to ease. "What did you need to tell me?" I asked gently. Lily took a shaky breath. "Daniel Mercer, he didn't target me randomly." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" 3 months ago, I was assigned to a patient at the hospital. A woman dying of cancer. Her name was Sarah Chen. The missing woman. The one linked to Daniel. She was barely conscious, but in her final hours, she grabbed my hand and begged me to find her sister. To tell her what happened. To warn her about the man who destroyed her life. Lily's voice broke. Sarah gave me a name before she died. Mylin Chen. The room tilted. "My wife," I whispered. Lily nodded, tears streaming. "Sarah was your wife's sister. She told me Mylin died 2 years ago, but they'd been estranged. Family conflict. She never got to say goodbye." My mind reeled. Mylin had a sister. I knew that. They'd had a falling out before we married, something about their parents' inheritance. Mylin never wanted to talk about it. I had no idea Sarah was missing. No idea she'd died. What does this have to do with Daniel? Sarah told me Daniel had been stalking her for over a year. She tried to get restraining orders, but he always found ways around them. She went into hiding, but he tracked her down. Lily's hands trembled. She said he worked in tech. That he was obsessed with powerful families. That he... She stopped. What? He blamed your family for something. Sarah wasn't sure what. But he told her that destroying her was just practice. That the real target was someone else. Ice flooded my veins. He was targeting me. "Not you," Lily said quietly. "Your son." Emma had fallen asleep. Margaret took her upstairs while Lily and I sat in stunned silence. "Daniel found out I'd been Sarah's nurse," Lily continued. "He started messaging me on the dating app. At first, I thought it was coincidence. But then he started asking about my patients. About the hospital. About whether I knew any wealthy families. He was using you to get to Ethan." She nodded. "When I realized who he was, I tried to block him. That's when the threat started. He said if I didn't meet him, he'd go after Emma. And then..." She swallowed hard. "He said he'd go after a little boy who'd already lost his mother. Ethan. Daniel Mercer had been planning to kidnap my son. Why didn't you go to the police?" "I did. They said without concrete evidence, there was nothing they could do. He'd been careful. No direct threats on record. Everything was implied." Her voice rose. "So I went to that cafe to confront him. To record him confessing. To get evidence. That's why you brought your phone." "Yes. But he figured it out. Took my phone. Took everything. Then he dragged me to that cabin and said..." She couldn't finish. I understood. Daniel Mercer was a monster who'd spent years planning revenge against my family. And he'd almost succeeded. My phone buzzed. "Marcus. Sir, we have a problem." "What is it?" "Daniel Mercer escaped police custody 20 minutes ago. The storm caused a traffic accident during transport. He fled into the woods. They've lost him." "No." He's still out there. Yes, sir. And sir? We found something in his cabin. Plans. Blueprints. Marcus paused. Blueprints of your estate. He's been planning this for months. I looked at Lily. At the ceiling, where Emma and Ethan slept. Increase security. Lock down the property. No one gets in or out. I hung up and turned to Lily. He's coming here, isn't he? She whispered. Yes. Then we run. We take the children, Anne. No. I stood. I'm done running from men like him. This ends tonight. At 4:17 a.m., the power went out. The mansion plunged into darkness. And through the window, I saw a figure standing at the edge of the property. Watching. Waiting. Daniel Mercer had come to finish what he started. Margaret, take the children to the panic room. Now. My housekeeper didn't argue. She scooped up Emma and rushed upstairs to wake Ethan. Lily grabbed my arm. I'm not hiding. He came for me. Let me. You're a mother. Your job is to protect Emma. Mine is to end this. She hesitated, then nodded and ran upstairs. I grabbed my phone. Dead. He'd cut the power and jammed the signals. Daniel Mercer had planned this perfectly. I was alone. I moved through my darkened mansion like a ghost, every sense heightened. Glass shattered somewhere downstairs. He was inside. Alexander Chen. Daniel's voice echoed through the halls. I know you can hear me. You took everything from me, and now I'll take everything from you. I didn't respond. I crept toward the sound. Your wife's sister rejected me. Said I wasn't good enough. Your family humiliated me at every turn. His voice cracked with rage. I was going to work for your company. I had an interview. But your hiring manager laughed at my credentials. Laughed. He was unhinged. Delusional. So I studied you. Learned everything. And when your precious wife died, I saw my opportunity. A grieving widower. A vulnerable son. It would have been so easy to become the new nanny, the trusted friend, and then. He appeared at the end of the hallway. We locked eyes. Then take everything you love. He charged. I met him halfway. We crashed through a side table, porcelain shattering. His fist connected with my ribs, pain exploded through my chest. But I'd been fighting for survival since I was a kid in the streets. Money hadn't made me soft. I drove my knee into his stomach. He doubled over. I grabbed him by the collar and slammed him against the wall. You'll never touch my son, I growled. He smiled through bloody teeth. I already did. My blood froze. What? While you were playing hero tonight. I had an associate visit your estate earlier. Planted something special in your son's room. A little insurance policy. He was bluffing. He had to be. But doubt crept in. I loosened my grip for just a second. He struck. The knife I'd missed, hidden in his boot, slashed across my shoulder. I stumbled back, blood soaking my shirt. Daniel ran toward the stairs. Toward the children. I chased him, ignoring the pain. He reached the 3rd floor. The panic room was at the end of the hall, reinforced steel door, biometric lock. Impenetrable. Unless someone opened it from the inside. Lily Sullivan. Daniel pounded on the door. I have Alexander? If you don't open this door, I'll kill him. Silence. I know you can hear me. You have 5 seconds. 5. 4. The lock clicked. No. Lily, don't. The door opened. Lily stood there, pale but defiant. Behind her, Margaret held both children. Let him go, Lily said quietly. Take me instead. Just let everyone else go. Daniel's laugh was hollow. How noble. But I don't think so. He raised the knife. I tackled him from behind. We went down hard, rolling, grappling. The knife skittered across the floor. Emma screamed. And then, a gunshot. Margaret stood in the doorway, my antique revolver trembling in her hands. Daniel Mercer lay on the floor, clutching his leg, howling. I raised you, Alexander Chen, Margaret said, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. I'll be damned if I let some psychopath destroy this family. Police sirens wailed in the distance. The storm had cleared enough for them to get through. It was over. Daniel was subdued, bleeding, finished. But as the paramedics took him away, he looked at me one last time. You think you won, he whispered. Check your son's room. Timer's already running. And then he passed out. The bomb squad tore through Ethan's room like surgeons operating on a dying patient. I stood in the hallway, Lily beside me, both children pressed against Margaret downstairs. My heart hadn't stopped racing since Daniel's final words. Timer's already running. Mr. Chen. The lead officer emerged, his face grim. We found something. My world stopped. He held up a small black device. It's a camera. Hidden in the stuffed bear on your son's shelf. It's been recording for approximately 6 weeks. Not a bomb. A camera. Relief and horror crashed through me simultaneously. He was watching my son, I whispered. For weeks, yes. Likely planning the layout, routines, security patterns. The officer's jaw tightened. This man is going away for a very long time, Mr. Chen. We found 3 other cameras on the property. He'd been surveilling you for months. I thought of Ethan. My innocent boy, playing in his room, sleeping, grieving his mother, all while a monster watched through a lens. The violation of it made me want to drive back to the hospital and finish what Margaret had started. But Lily's hand found mine. It's over, she said quietly. He can't hurt anyone anymore. December 24th, Christmas Eve. The police had finally left. The bomb squad had cleared the property. Daniel Mercer was in custody, facing charges that would put him away for life, attempted kidnapping, stalking, assault, and a laundry list of others. The blizzard had passed, leaving behind a world coated in pristine white. I found Lily in the kitchen, making breakfast. Emma sat at the counter, swinging her legs, chattering about everything and nothing the way children do when they've been brave too long and finally feel safe enough to just be kids again. You don't have to cook, I said. Margaret can. I need to do something normal, Lily interrupted softly. After everything. I just need to feel normal again. I understood that. Ethan wandered in, rubbing his eyes. His fever had broken completely. When he saw Emma, he brightened. You're still here. Aha. Mr. Alexander saved my mommy from a bad man. Ethan's eyes went wide. Really? My daddy's a hero. I felt my throat tighten. Your daddy is the bravest man I've ever met, Lily said, her eyes meeting mine. He saved my life. And Emma's. We owe him everything. Does that mean you're going to stay? Ethan asked innocently. It's almost Christmas. You can't leave on Christmas. The question hung in the air. Lily and I hadn't discussed what happened next. In the chaos of police interviews and medical examinations and securing the property, we hadn't talked about the future. She had her life. Her apartment. Her job. And I had mine. We were strangers brought together by tragedy and a little girl's desperate plea. Lily hesitated. We should probably get out of your way, Mr. Chen. You've done so much already. Alexander, I corrected. Please. After everything, I think we're past formalities. She smiled faintly. Alexander. You've been incredibly kind. But we can't impose. Stay. The word came out more forcefully than I intended. Everyone looked at me. Stay for Christmas, I continued, softer. Both of you. You shouldn't be alone. Emma shouldn't be in that apartment where she waited all night, terrified. And frankly, I looked at Ethan, at the hope shining in his eyes. I don't think my son will forgive me if I let his new friend leave on Christmas Eve. Emma tugged on her mother's sleeve. Please, Mommy? Please? Lily's eyes glistened. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. The day unfolded like something from a dream. Margaret went into full grandmother mode, baking cookies with both children while Lily and I sat by the fire, sipping coffee and processing everything that had happened. I still can't believe it, Lily said quietly. Yesterday morning, I thought my life was over. I thought I'd never see Emma again. And now you're safe. Because of you. She turned to face me. Alexander, why did you do it? Really? You didn't know me. You owed me nothing. You had your own son to protect. Why risk everything for a stranger? I thought about my answer carefully. When I was 12 years old, my mother got sick. Cancer. We had no money for treatment, no insurance, no options. I watched her die slowly because no one would help us. Lily's hand covered her mouth. I swore that if I ever had the power to help someone, if I ever had the resources to save a life, I would never turn away. I met her eyes. Emma came to me in a blizzard and asked me to find her mother. How could I say no? How could I look at that little girl and become another person who turned their back? Most people would have just called the police. I'm not most people. She laughed softly. No. You're really not. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Lily spoke again. Sarah, your wife's sister, she talked about Mylin in those final hours. She had so many regrets about their estrangement. She said Mylin was the kindest person she'd ever known. That she had a gift for seeing the good in people. My chest ached. She did. She'd be proud of you. For what you did. For the man you are. I couldn't speak. Lily's hand found mine again. Thank you, Alexander. For giving me back my life. For giving Emma her mother back. Thank you, I replied, for reminding me that some things are more important than board meetings and profit margins. That evening, we decorated the tree together, all 5 of us. Margaret strung lights while Ethan and Emma argued adorably about ornament placement. Lily and I hung stockings, and for the first time in 2 years, the mansion felt like a home again. After the children were put to bed, Emma in the guest room next to Ethan's, both exhausted and happy, Lily and I stood in the hallway. I should try to get some sleep, she said. Tomorrow's going to be overwhelming. I was going to say the first Christmas I actually want to celebrate in years. I smiled. I know the feeling. She started toward her room, then paused. Alexander? Can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you ever think about trying again? Love, I mean. After Mylin. The question caught me off guard. I haven't let myself think about it, I admitted. It felt like a betrayal. Like I was supposed to just grieve forever. Mylin wouldn't have wanted that. How do you know? Because no mother would want their child to grow up without seeing their father happy. Without seeing what love looks like. Lily's voice was gentle. Sarah told me that Mylin's biggest fear wasn't death. It was that you'd lock yourself away. That you'd forget how to live. The words hit me like a freight train. I've been doing exactly that, I whispered. I know, Lily said. Because I've been doing it too. Emma's father left, and I decided that was it. No more chances. No more vulnerability. Just me and Emma against the world. What changed? She smiled. A billionaire drove through a blizzard to save my life. And I realized that maybe, just maybe, there are still good men out there. Still reasons to hope. We stood there, two broken people, looking at each other in the soft glow of Christmas lights. And for the first time, I allowed myself to see her not as a victim I'd saved, but as a woman. A beautiful, brave, remarkable woman. Lily, A small voice interrupted. Mr. Alexander? We turned to find Emma standing in her doorway, clutching her bunny. What's wrong, sweetheart? Lily asked, rushing to her. Nothing's wrong, Emma said. She looked between us with those wise, ancient eyes that children sometimes have. I just wanted to ask Mr. Alexander something. What is it? I knelt down to her level. Emma took a deep breath. Do you think maybe you could be my daddy? The world stopped. Lily gasped. Emma. Sweetheart, you can't just. Why not? Emma asked, her voice small but determined. Ethan needs a mommy. I need a daddy. Mr. Alexander saved you, Mommy. He's kind and brave and he makes you smile. And I love him. 3 days. I'd known this child for 3 days. And she loved me. I felt tears prick my eyes. Emma, I said gently, that's a very big question. Your mommy and I barely know each other. But you saved her life. In stories, that means you're supposed to fall in love. Real life isn't a story. But it could be. I looked at Lily. She was crying, her hand over her mouth, somewhere between mortification and hope. I'm so sorry, she whispered. She doesn't understand. She understands more than we do, I said quietly. I turned back to Emma. I can't promise I'll be your daddy, I said honestly. Not right now. That's something very serious that takes time, Anne. How much time? I couldn't help but smile. I don't know. But I can promise that you and your mommy will always be safe. That you'll always have a home here if you need one. That I'll always be your friend. Is that okay for now? Emma thought about this very seriously. Then she nodded. Okay. But I'm still going to hope for the daddy thing. She hugged me quickly, then ran back to bed, leaving Lily and me alone in the hallway again. I am so sorry, Lily said. She's been asking about her father more lately, and I think with everything that happened, she's processing trauma by looking for stability, I finished. I understand. And for what it's worth. I hesitated. I'm not opposed to the idea. Lily's eyes widened. What? Not right now, I clarified quickly. You're right, we barely know each other. But? I took a breath. I'd like to change that. I'd like to get to know you, Lily Sullivan. Not as someone I rescued. As someone I could see in my life. Her smile was radiant. I'd like that too. So maybe we start slow? Dinner sometime. Coffee. Conversations that don't involve police or blizzards or psychopaths. That sounds perfect. We stood there, smiling at each other like teenagers, until Margaret's voice called from downstairs. If you two are done having a Hallmark moment, Santa's cookies aren't going to eat themselves. We laughed. Christmas morning dawned clear and bright. I woke to the sound of children's laughter, Ethan and Emma thundering down the stairs, squealing about presents. For the first time in 2 years, I didn't wake up dreading the holiday. I woke up smiling. We gathered in the living room, Margaret, Lily, Emma, Ethan, and me. The children tore into presents while we adults sipped coffee and watched. I'd had my assistant overnight a collection of gifts for Emma, dolls, books, art supplies. The look on her face when she opened each one was worth more than every dollar I'd ever earned. But the moment that broke me came when Ethan opened his big present. A train set. The exact one Mylin had promised him before she died. He stared at it, then looked at me with tears in his eyes. Daddy, this is what Mommy wanted to give me. I know, buddy. Does this mean she's still watching? That she still loves us? I pulled him into my arms, my own tears flowing freely. She's always watching. And she'll always love us. Nothing, not even death, can change that. Emma, watching this, crawled over and hugged Ethan too. My mommy says that people we love never really leave. They live in here. She pointed to his heart. Ethan sniffled. Really? Really? And then my son, my beautiful, grieving, healing son, said something that changed everything. Then maybe Emma's mommy can be here too. He pointed to his heart. And Mr. Emma's daddy can be in Emma's heart. And we can be a family. Out of the mouths of babes. Lily was openly crying now. Margaret was dabbing her eyes with her apron. And I was realizing that maybe love wasn't about replacing what you'd lost. Maybe it was about making room for something new while honoring what came before. 6 months later. June sunshine poured through the mansion windows. Lily had officially moved in 3 months ago, her and Emma both. Her apartment had been too full of bad memories, and honestly, none of us wanted them anywhere else. We'd taken it slow. Dates. Long conversations. Family dinners. Letting the children bond. Letting ourselves heal. But somewhere along the way, getting to know each other had turned into something deeper. I'd fallen in love with Lily Sullivan. Not because I saved her. Not because our children wanted us together. But because she was brilliant and kind and strong. Because she made me laugh. Because she saw me, not my money or my power, just me. And today, I was going to ask her to marry me. The ring was in my pocket. The children were in on the plan, Ethan was vibrating with excitement, and Emma had been practicing her surprised face in the mirror for days. We were having a picnic in the garden, all 4 of us, when I decided it was time. Lily, can I talk to you for a second? She looked up from the blanket, smiling. Of course. I helped her to her feet and led her a few steps away from the children, my heart hammering. Alexander, you look nervous. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. That's the thing. I took her hands. 6 months ago, a little girl appeared in a blizzard and asked me to find her mother. I thought I was just solving a problem. Doing the right thing. You were. But I didn't know that finding you would mean finding myself again. I didn't know that saving your life would save mine too. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Alexander. I dropped to one knee. Emma and Ethan gasped dramatically behind us. Lily Sullivan, you've brought light back into this house. You've given my son a mother's love again. You've reminded me that it's okay to move forward while still honoring the past. I pulled out the ring. Will you marry me? She was crying, nodding, pulling me to my feet. Yes. Yes, of course, yes. I slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her while our children cheered and Margaret cried happy tears from the porch. Does this mean I get to call you Daddy now? Emma asked, bouncing on her toes. I scooped her up. If you want to. I want to. Ethan hugged Lily. And you're really going to be my new mommy. If that's okay with you, Lily said, kneeling to his level. It's more than okay. My first mommy would like you. She always said Daddy needed someone to make him smile. Then I'll spend every day making him smile. Epilogue 1 year later. December 23rd. The anniversary of the day Emma found me in the snow. We were all gathered in the living room, our family, expanded and blended and beautifully imperfect. Lily and I had been married for 6 months. Emma officially called me Dad. Ethan called Lily Mom. Margaret had been promoted to official grandmother. And we'd just found out we had another addition coming, Lily was 3 months pregnant. Tell the story again, Daddy, Emma begged, snuggled against me on the couch. Which story? The snow story. The one where you found me. I looked at Lily, who smiled and nodded. All right, I began. It was the worst blizzard in 30 years, and I was just trying to get medicine for Ethan. As I told the story, I watched my family. Ethan playing with trains. Lily's hand resting on her belly. Emma's eyes wide with wonder even though she'd heard this story 100 times. This was my life now. Not the billions or the boardrooms or the empire. This. Love. Family. Home. And then what happened? Emma prompted, even though she knew the answer. Then a brave little girl asked me to find her mommy. And I did. And then? And then I found my future. Emma grinned. I like that ending. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. Outside, snow began to fall, gentle this time, not the violent blizzard of a year ago. But inside, we were warm. Inside, we were home.